Hello everybody, I am Colton. I run WizThrift on Instagram and YouTube and wherever else I'm going to post it. And I'm here today with another creator interview. Today I'm here with a friend of mine, Brandon O'Connor. Brandon, could you give yourself a little introduction?
Howdy, I am Brandon. I am the owner of the Dungeon Forge 3D printing business. I run a lot of DM games. Currently running some at some game stores. I'm based out of Arizona, and it's a pleasure to be on the show, Colton.
Awesome. Thank you. That's good to know. And yeah, I mean, that's how I know you, is through the Dungeon Forge. But before we get to that, I wanted to ask you, where did it all start with you in role-playing games?
Well, I guess first off, we both come from a traditional Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint background. Mm-hmm. Also known throughout the world as Mormons. We have recently tried to make our name a little bit more politically correct. I served a mission up in Idaho, actually, from 2016 to 2018. And in one of the closets, they actually had some Dungeons and Dragons books. Okay. So just on prep day and things like that, I would read through it, and I was thinking, this would be really fun to play a couple games. And we had a lot of service opportunities where we would help with sorting clothes at the Idaho Youth Ranch and a couple of other just service-related jobs that were more about your hands being working than your mind. And me and the other missionaries would actually play role-playing games, basically pure role-play, no dice.
Yeah.
So trying to make everything be justified with that was kind of tough. Eventually, I ended up in a district, which is a group of missionaries, where we played official games. And then after doing that for a little while, I ended up coming back from the mission. I listened to podcasts. I always wanted to run a group, and my friends didn't want to play. And I ended up going into a ward with Brennan, and Brennan was hosting a game. So I played with him, and then that led into me running some games with the people that he had showing up, because DMing is a lot of work, and I have debatably some talent in that field. So we ran a bunch of games, and then we decided to start the 3D printing company so that we could not only make miniatures for ourselves, but also make it for other people. So that's more or less the background.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's really cool. So obviously you started, in the past something like that, 5 years or so. But what, did you know about it when you were a kid at all? Or was it just kind of out of the blue, you're like, oh, this is some cool art stuff?
Yeah, I knew about it. My dad was of the old school mentality where Dungeons and Dragons is a Satan game, and that will not be played in my house.
I mean, so, it is, but it's hidden within it.
There you go. Yeah. There's demons and spell casting where, maybe not so much now, but back in the 70s, 80s, there was a very real presence of black magic, voodoo. There was the Satanic Panic was so crazy that Harry Potter wasn't culturally accepted until, years after it was published. Yeah. And even now, I think it's still on a couple of banned lists for elementary school. Yeah. Where if you want to talk about a super basic kid story, magic was only bad according to the older generation. Yeah. But we kind of know that, hey, it's not necessarily the power, it's the use of the power.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I find that true with not only fantasy magic and whatnot, but also how we treat people and money and even real life things. It's not about the power, it's how you use it. So I've seen that with how you run the Dungeon Forge and just kind of how you present yourself and do things yourself. So I've always appreciated that about you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's good to have those compliments. So I guess a quick question as well. Since we've been working together for a while, I don't know if it's okay for me to ask you questions back.
Oh, no, go for it. No,
what has made you stay with the Dungeon Forge for so
well, okay, so
it's certainly not our success.
we've had some success. I mean,
We've had moderate success.
Even like no matter how small, having a successful Kickstarter is important. It's good because like it shows that at least $1,300 worth of a success. So and it's helped lead to getting all those printers and leading to other success. So I would say no matter how small, a success is success. But
in general as well, one thing to keep in mind is that hey, we are actually debt free as a business. We've never gone into debt. We have no intention because we are in opposition to the man. Big place. Yeah.
But why I've stayed with you guys, well, one, it is my dream to be a full-time writer, author, whatever. And Dungeons and Dragons is a good way to do that. But also because, as you know, I have gone into a few slumps where I haven't been in contact or I haven't been able to produce work for whatever reasons. But you have always come and talked to me. You didn't just say, hey, you're not doing this good enough, you're fired. You always, before any action was taken, you would take the time to sit down or, Discord or whatever to talk to me like, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? Is it something that I've done? You didn't immediately point fingers and accuse me of anything. You first made sure, what's going on. And throughout the whole time that I've known you, that's been one of the best things for me of dealing with someone with some sort of authority is just you're respectful, you're honorable, and you want to help people. And
thank you.
And you also, through your editing and everything that we work together with, you're constructive, and you're honest, and you also give compliments. And so you're pretty much the perfect boss, I would say. Is you're honest, but you're also...
You heard it here first, folks.
and I'm not just saying this because you're here on my show or whatever. I'm saying this because it's the truth. You're honest, but you're also constructive, and it's you have good qualities, and you want to do things right. So.
Yeah, and just so all of the viewers are aware, I didn't tell him that he would be fired if he didn't say those things.
Yeah. Oh no, not at all. Not at all.
That is all from the heart.
Yeah. No, I mean I'm repping the merch right now.
Yes,
so.
Which it looks fantastic.
It does. No, these shirts are very nice. Anyway.
And they are for sale store. If anybody... Yeah. Shameless plug. If you can't wear or plug in your own merch, then what are you even doing?
Exactly. I mean, I am technically paid. This is a paid sponsorship technically, but I'm not just saying that because it is a paid sponsorship. I'm saying that because, one, the shirt is very comfortable and it fits nicely. But also because the Dungeon Forge does good things. They're good people, myself included, but,
Yes, you're part of Dungeon Forge. We are good people.
Yes.
At least we try very hard to be. Mistakes are occasionally made, and I find communication to be the number one most important thing when it comes to business and consumers and employees and the people who are on top of the company, if you would. Am I on top? I mean, I guess, but I am in service of my own people as much as they are in service of me.
Yeah. Yeah, and
then also, I like the backgrounds that you got going on.
Thank you. The guy that we've worked with before, Irlander Arts. I can't remember his actual name, but yeah, he's nice, and he does some commissions for me. So this is welcome to the inside of WizThrift.
Right.
We have a little bit of everything.
Yeah, we gotta get like some price points and stuff.
Oh yeah.
We gotta make like a actual WizThrift shop and adventure.
Just
make a miniature of you.
Oh, that would be cool. No, it's gotta be my giraffe. So.
Oh, there we go. That's fine too.
Yeah. I mean, we already have the art for it, so we can just get Tanner on that one day. We have plenty that we're working on right now. So.
Yeah, like it's too tall for the build plate.
Yeah, it's just a huge neck.
Yeah.
But
cool.
Yeah, well, I mean that actually. Now that we're talking about the Dungeon Forge, it leads into another question. Why did you start the Dungeon Forge? other than just making miniatures for you and to sell them, why did you want to start a company and devote so much time and money to it?
Right. I think in general, a lot of your big game companies charge an arm and a leg for you to have fun. I don't like that business model where if a person is going to be playing a game and they're going to have fun playing the game, obviously, in order for us to stay in business, you do have to charge something, otherwise you won't exist at all.
Yeah.
But overpriced, poor quality product that is produced unethically, I'm not a big fan of that.
Yeah.
And since I was a kid, I've always wanted to work for myself and then have other people work with me for me.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it all comes down to making a difference in the world. There's a lot of things that I might not be the most happy with, but I find that if you don't act on your own morals and your own convictions, then you're, complaining doesn't really get you anywhere. It's better to err on the side of action, and that's what I've done. I try to put my money where my mouth is, and with my goals being to make the world a better place, I understand Dungeons and Dragons and games and having fun very well. And that's something that, because I have expertise in having fun, if you will, every time that I roll the dice, I have a +6 instead of a +3. It just, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
So it's something that I already believe I can have a decent amount of success with. That's what I've decided to pursue for now. And I have a lot of other ambitions that go outside of just the Dungeon Forge. We've talked about that plenty. But right now, this is a very good place to start. And assuming that the people are interested in what it is that we produce, that is where I believe that the success is. And I literally just followed, okay, what do I think has the highest percentage of success? And I went for that.
And I mean, hey, a lot of people like to buy miniatures. A lot of people have 3D printers nowadays, so having those STL files is useful.
And being able to come to people and say, hey, if you don't have a 3D printer, we can supply your need. Or if you do have a 3D printer and they're becoming more and more accessible, we can provide what you need in order to actually use the equipment that you have. Yeah. We're not about shutting anyone out from the gaming experience, and we've kind of tried to make ourselves a well-rounded company in the sense that the gaming should be accessible to everybody, and we're just trying to provide that, and everything that we do is high quality. So
Now, I remember when I first started talking to you guys, you showed me some of the prints and some of the stuff that you're working on. I was very impressed because they definitely look good. They're definitely high quality. And, for anybody listening, the link for all this stuff will be down below. And you guys can go to the website and actually see the products and be like, okay, yeah, they are actually high quality stuff. So.
Right. Well, the only way you know it's high quality is if you order it.
True. So. Yeah, you can do a lot to make pictures look nice, but yeah.
Exactly. So, and then, hey, I'm not going to bully anybody into actually paying for decent quality stuff. There's plenty of people who play Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, your fantasy role-playing games through Theater of the Mind, where miniatures really aren't necessary at all, let alone the people who play digitally. So I've just found that the highest performance, like the most immersive that your game can be, is by having miniatures on the table. It elevates the gameplay by a ton. And if you have the chance to find a group of people to play with in real life, that's something that you should strive to do. It helps to give you meaning and purpose. Also buy my stuff.
Also spend money. Give me money so you can get cool stuff. And that's, and I think it shows. I won't name any names, but like you said before, a lot of those bigger named companies that do sell these products, I've been kind of disappointed with them. With the dice they make, and even with the miniatures they make. I think because they mass produce them, the quality drops. Because
exactly.
they know they can sell them. And
not to mention the people, if they're not passionate about what they're doing in the first place, I find that the people who make the best games are gamers.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. So if you want people to make good miniatures and good adventures, those people should be playing the game instead of, if you're outsourcing, a lot of people just don't understand the passion that goes into it.
Yeah.
Hello, pupper.
Yeah, he's being a little loud, so he's gonna sit on my lap.
Sweet.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree with that. We need people that are passionate, and we need high quality writing. We need high quality maps, all that stuff. And when it's just they're already living big and they don't need to worry about how good it has to be. They just know people are going to buy it. It's not going to be as good. But if it's people that are small and they're trying to get off the ground, they're going to put in as much work as possible to make it the best it can be. So.
Yep. And one of the interesting things is that you do have to keep in mind that you always have to remember where you come from.
Mm-hmm.
If you lose track of your roots and you can't look back at the trail that you've walked and remember, hey, I used to be a kid who was paying everything out of pocket.
Yeah.
If you can't remember that, then you can humility is a great trait that is easily lost.
Yeah.
So that's something that I kind of hold dear is, hey, if I can remain humble even in the face of success, that's what we should try to do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean that actually segues pretty neatly into my next question. You're doing all this because you love role playing games. You want to bring high quality to people. But what is your favorite part about role playing games? What gives you the passion, the drive to do all this?
That's a pretty good question. I mean, there's a lot of different possible answers for that, I think. One of the biggest ones is the positive desire for change. I talk a lot about big ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the small ideas matter as well. I actually run a game pretty much every other week for my own family. So my younger brothers and sisters, I play a game with them, and them and their friends, and their group is probably about 8 people. So I DM for a group of 8, 10 to 15-year-olds. So, but
wow.
Even doing that, it's fun. You get to see that, you've got kids that have stress from high school, and we're in a world where it's harder and harder for people to keep track of mental health and to be in a good place.
Yeah.
So what I try to do for those people, and I used to coach chess for elementary schools.
That's cool.
And I would try to help those kids to have a good experience through the game of chess.
Yeah.
But the game of chess is very rigid, and when you're dealing with younger kids, that rigidity is not always something that is favorable. For some kids, it is, but not for everybody. So when it comes to fantasy roleplay games, a lot of the drive behind it is you get to take a chance to step outside of yourself and experience life through the perspective of another person or the character that you're playing.
Yeah.
If you want to understand how evil people work, you can play an evil person, or if you want to play as a person who is righteous, who always stands for what's good and right, then you play as that type of a character. And you do your best to exemplify that And then when you understand, also a lot of this is based on whether you have a good dungeon master or not.
Sure.
But when you understand how to play those types of characters, you get to understand the world through a view that you never would be able to before. And I think I mentioned earlier that communication is extremely important. Being able to communicate as another person helps you to understand how to communicate even better as yourself. I have no idea if I answered your question.
No, you did. I think it's a little scattered, but tangents is being able to express all your thoughts and communicate about these things is good. No, I think you gave a pretty good answer.
I was like, good communication. What was the question? I can't remember.
No, I think you gave a good answer. It had lots of mini answers and lots of different answers. So yeah, you're good.
Cool. It's good.
No, that's important. And I think it's really cool and probably really hard to run a game for 10 to 15-year-olds. Like, those are some young kids that are probably pretty rowdy and probably have a hard time focusing sometimes.
Yeah, a couple of them's got ADHD and stuff. So you really have to be good. You have to be on top of your game in order to run it for them. Yeah. And then when you take a step back from kids and then you go to adults, you're like, man, I can handle a group of 10, 11, 12 people. Compared to running a group for 8, I love those kids. They're great, but sometimes they do manage to prove themselves a handful.
That's a good point. But hey, you're probably instilling in them some good qualities. I wish that I had someone like that when I was younger, because I was always interested in fantasy and role-playing game and storytelling, and so I wish I would have had people like that who would have done that for me when I was younger, because it would have been a really, really fun experience and a really good experience. So.
Yeah, and a lot of them actually have interest in basically coming on board at some point and working in the business, because I think that to a point, I've never said necessarily that I should be a person's idol or someone that they should exemplify, but I do try to set a good example for folks. And if I can be the kind of person who others enjoy working with, I want to be that person. Yeah. And even young people do recognize that, hey, the value that he brings to the world, that I bring to the world, is good value. Yeah. It's tough to always stay on top of that. Not to mention there's 100 different, doing what I do, your plate is always full and you never have a down moment. But honestly, there's not really any other way to live, because if you're doing nothing, what is the saying? Idle hands are a devil's workshop, and idle mind is the devil's workshop.
Something like that, yeah. It sounds good. So
I just have no time to think, and because of that, there is no place for demons.
Hey, there you go. No, that's I think that's a pretty good philosophy. It's just like, stay busy, stay active, because then there is no chance to really mess up in any big way, because you're always focusing on something good, hopefully.
Not to mention with the huge emphasis on mental health in the world right now, so many people get trapped in their own mind, where when all that you focus on is mentality, again, I think I mentioned that it's better to err on the side of action. If you can get up and do something, that can take you outside of your mind, or at least that's something that works for me, is, hey, I'm going to get up, and then I enjoy writing. You've read some of the things that I write. Maybe I'm good, maybe I'm okay, maybe I'm bad, but regardless, it's something that I enjoy doing and gets me out of my own head and, gets me into a better place.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's having good hobbies and having things to, whether you're bad or not, which you're a good author.
Thank you.
Just having a hobby that can help you with whatever it is somewhat therapeutic, and having a skill that you want to improve is just good for yourself. And so, whether you're good or bad or whatever, and we all start out bad. Everybody's written the cliche story. Everybody has been.
Everybody writes bad before they write good.
Exactly. And everybody, even people that have talent, there's always something they can get better at. So.
Yes. Yeah, there's never a point where you hit perfection.
Exactly.
At least that's kind of how I view it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you stop progressing if you believe that you've made it.
Yeah.
So.
No.
One thing, just as like a side note,
yeah.
You know what NaNoWriMo is? Are
Yes.
you doing that this year?
I've thought about it. Are you going to do it? I know you.
I was planning on doing it.
I know you were talking about doing some writing and stuff.
Yeah. Do you remember the? I believe I sent you a couple of those short stories of the. Essentially, what I'm doing is I'm combining a lot of those stories into a novel. So Archangel is going to be the work in progress currently.
Okay.
And the goal is that by early next year, hopefully, and again, I don't necessarily know whether I would have enough talent to become traditionally published.
Yeah.
But being able to like self-publish, we've already done that with the Turtle Adventure. It would not be terribly difficult for us to do that again. And not to mention, I do have a writing group that I work with here in Arizona.
Good.
So having other people, and potentially if you had works as well, I could invite you into that group.
Yeah.
And if you want to work on a novel, we both happen to be fairly involved. As like, you have great story concept stuff,
Thank
probably even better than mine. And I'm able to implement things in a way. Basically, I have good articulation skills, and my diction and vernacular happen to be pretty above par. And poetic writing is something that a lot of people enjoy. Being able to read something that is meaningful beyond the cat eats food. There's basically making descriptive writing and then making good dialogue. That's something that I can do decently well.
Yeah.
And then you have really good story concepts that if we can, potentially if we both get like our novel out, then doing like a co-write thing is something else.
Yeah. No, that would be really cool. I mean, we've already worked together on, a handful of projects, and we're still working on, other projects. So I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, not to mention, there's a bunch of those that we can just put the finishing touches on, cut the red ribbon, and then if we can get a little bit of artwork, which, we can talk to Irelander about.
Yeah.
Literally, we'll have we could have another 3 to 4 adventures tomorrow.
Yeah.
If we can just, oh man.
lots of potential stuff that we just need to finish.
Yeah, like the dwarves, the bandits, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a teaser for anybody who's like, hey, you guys aren't paying attention to the website. I'll tell you what, if we get more traffic, if this video gets, what's your average view count?
Like anywhere between 15 to 30.
Sick. If this video gets 100 likes, we will finish both of those adventures and do a giveaway for them.
Ooh, okay. That's one of the first real goals I've set. So yeah, there you go. Well,
that's what I am. I'm all about goal setting and then and then not meeting.
Hey, we've all been there, and now we're all getting to the point where we can finish those goals. So.
Right. Exactly.
So, my last question, because we're coming up on time here, but my last question for you, Brandon, is if you could be any monster or creature from Dungeons and Dragons, what would it be?
There's so many good monsters to choose from. Yep. My base, I don't know. Do I want to be something tanky, or what inspires the most fear?
Okay. Well, that depends. Are we talking like low level? We're talking high level?
Oh, true.
Because let me tell you, a shadow.
Can I pick a god?
No. It has to, and anything CR20 or below.
Gotcha. Yeah. So there's part of me that's like, okay, if I want to make it fun, I could be like, be a CR0 monster, be a flump, and everybody loves those little things.
Flumps are pretty
Or
funny.
I feel like what I'd probably lean towards, just a good combination of solid fear and mechanics. Like, DMs can totally guarantee themselves at least one player kill if they play this monster right. Just, be an illithid, a mind flayer. So they've got that prismatic wall ability where you can literally throw a barrier between yourself and other people. You get to take inspiration from people literally by consuming their mental matter. So you're drawing off people and, being able to like throw up that wall and people watch helplessly as you go at their one companion. It's interesting because I've run a lot of different monsters, but I would want to be something sentient at minimum. I think that the Mind Flayer is the way to go because if you're a monster in D&D, you're gonna die. The players will kill you.
Eventually.
Well, the question is like, hey, can you take anybody down with you? I think that's a guaranteed, hey, I got one. And that's, it makes you a little bit less meaningless, gives you some purpose as a monster.
Well, there is actually, speaking of illithids, mind flayers, so my party, we were playing, I was the dungeon master, and we brought in a new player who's somebody that we knew, and this character, he was being chased by mind flayers. And so one mind flayer and his intellect devourers were coming after them, and also it was just to set up future things that were going to happen with mind flayers in the Underdark. And this new, and one of the mind flayer abilities is if they attack you, they can suck out your brain, and if it does more than like a certain amount of damage, it will just straight up kill the character. Doesn't matter. Their brain's gone. So first session, this character comes in, and I wasn't really thinking, and I was like, oh, he's a bard, but I didn't think like, oh, he doesn't have much health. Player comes in, gets attacked, sucks out the brain, and that character, I because of his first time coming in, I changed some things so that he wouldn't die right away. But it was
you don't want to ruin a first time player. But I mean, if a person has enough experience, I mean, I've bullied you plenty in sessions. Like, for people who don't know, we run a campaign and I killed your character.
You did. There were some other.
Did I kill your character session 1? Or was it session 2?
I mean, it was session 1 because it was technically a one shot, even though it went on for a long time. But it went on for like 2-3 months, and that's the problem, is that when you're good at something, people just like to keep working with you. And then as far as that goes too, I think at some point we had discussed potentially doing some live sessions on Twitch or something. Maybe do a poll with the community, see if folks have interest in that. And I think actually because we're going to be coming out with these one shots, I think doing those would be really fun. So
and then speaking of illithids as well, we do have that illithid bartender that's going to be coming out in December with the soon-to-be-launched announcement. We're going to have a big announcement in about a month from now. So, it's going to be great. So, everybody stay tuned on that. And, I think you said that was the last question. I'm fine with you breaking format if you wanted to ask another.
Nope, that is all I have prepared. But
okay, that's fine.
I did want to thank you for coming on. And,
of course, it's a pleasure.
It was fun finally seeing you in person, kind of as in person as we can get, and talking to you, because you have lots of interesting and good philosophies, and you're a nice person. So.
Appreciate that. It'll be good to see you in person at Comic-Cons as well when that eventually comes around, and you can find out that I'm short. In addition to average looking.
It's hard to tell because you're sitting down, but
I'm stocky.
We'll see. Exactly. Hey, that you know what? Short kings. I mean, I'm not short, but you can be a short king.
Well, okay, I say short. I'm like 5'9".
Okay, okay, that's
short, but-
not that short. That's like that's a bit above that. That's about average. So you're
Exactly.
You're a completely average man. You're not.
It's just like you got Brennan, who's like.
Isn't he like
If we're-
6'4"?
Yeah, he's tall, man.
Dang.
I'm surrounded by giants.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, come down here, man. Everyone's tall.
Oh, I know. I plan on it. Don't worry. I plan on it.
Sweet. Sounds good. Hey, that's a teaser. He's moving to Arizona. You heard it here first.
Maybe one day, hopefully. I love Arizona, actually. It's a really nice place.
Sweet. Sounds good. Well, definitely. Do you have an outro? Do we do the bum bum bum?
Well, I was just gonna say, what do you want
Do
to
we have
plug?
a jingle? Oh, okay, gotcha.
Other than, I mean,
that makes sense. That's a traditional out.
we've always we've talked about it already, but hey, what do you want to plug? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, plug obviously the business and website. So thedungeonforge.com, the Dungeon Forge on Instagram. I kind of sort of try to build my own little Instagram following. I'm terrible about posting on social media because I'm always busy, but there is the Arcane Mage on both Instagram and Twitter if you felt inclined. And that's all. That's everything.
Okay.
I've covered all of the bases.
Good.
So cool. Yep,
Awesome.
that's my plug.
Sweet.
And then also just like a plug into, shout out to you as well. Shout out to your Instagram and your everything. Colton's been great.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And guys, this has been a creative interview. This has been a creator interview with my friend Brandon.
Yeah.
And Brandon, thank you for sitting down with me, taking the time to talk about everything we talked about. It was a good time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yep. Until next time, folks.
Yep. Guys, we will see you later. Thank you. Have a
Hasta
good night.
la vista, baby.
Yeah. Okay. I'll see you later,
All right,
man.
cool. Yep.
Bye.
Good deal.